The AP rankings have just dropped earlier today for our second week of college basketball. Quickly, we're going to go through it. Some major points to hit on. Houston switching with Purdue at the 1 and 2 spot. Arizona has entered the top 5. Alabama into the top 10. St. John's down to 13. You saw Michigan State and Carolina jump into the top 20, 17, and 18 respectively. And Kansas remains ranked. And before we get into that Kansas point, we're just going to break it down by conference. Big 10, Big 12, SEC are tied with 6 teams each. After that, the Big East and ACC are tied at 3, and we see one mid-major, and that's Gonzaga, which doesn't really feel like a mid-major. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's break down some of what we're seeing. Kansas, I don't know if the media actually watches these games. Kansas lost that second half by 20. And not only that, they were abysmal. If you take the last 23 minutes of that game, they were outscored 62-39 against North Carolina. Is 7 spots in the AP poll worthy of that type of gap? Like, take Kansas versus North Carolina. They played each other head to head 62-39 in the last 23 minutes of the game. And without Darren Peterson, again, Kansas looked terrible. I think this is a case of ESPN has a big game between Kansas and Duke coming up on November 18th. And they want to keep that a ranked matchup as closely as possible. Kansas this week plays Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and they play Princeton. They should be fine in both, and so that should keep them ranked for that November 18th Tuesday night matchup, Super Tuesday, with Kansas and Duke squaring off against each other, keep them in the top 10. The two teams that I think you have to look at and say were better than Kansas this week was NC State and Indiana. We're going to start with the Wolfpack. They won both their games by 24 or more points. They averaged 104 points in the two games, and the margin of victory averaged out at 36 points. I understand that, okay, Kansas went and played North Carolina, but it wasn't like it was some 97-93 contest. It wasn't the Alabama-St. John's game. It wasn't the Arkansas-Michigan State game. Kansas looked horrible at times, especially in that second half. And so I think when you look at NC State, they scored points. They played well. They have a star player in Darren Williams. Like, they are really good. And in this case scenario, I would say had a better week than Kansas did. So the cool thing, though, with this is that we'll get this whole picture settled between the two programs, Kansas versus State, who's better right now, because they're going to play each other on December 13th in Raleigh. So we'll see how that goes. And then Indiana. We just did a video on Indiana. Indiana's averaging 100 points right now. I think it was 198. Averaging 35-point victory, and they have a win against a Big East school in Marquette, who was a tourney team last year and should probably still finish in the top 5, and then albeit down Big East. But that's a huge statement win by Indiana. They looked really good. 27 assists on 33 made field goals, if I remember correctly. How is Indiana not getting love? They were technically like 27th, but to me, Indiana's got a better case than NC State, and NC State has a better case than Kansas. So how Kansas remain in the top 25, make it make sense, guys. I don't know if they're actually watching these games. The top 25 games that we have this week, though, on Tuesday, we have 3 games. Kentucky is going to Louisville. Texas Tech is going to Champaign and play Illinois. Creighton is heading out west to play against Gonzaga. All of those games are going to be on Tuesday night. Stay tuned. We'll have them coming up for you, reactions and breakdown. Thursday, November 13th, Purdue is going to Tuscaloosa to play in Alabama. This would be the game circled for me as the most exciting game this week, but there is one bigger with way more implications. But all in all, Purdue at Alabama is going to be a great watch. I'm really excited to see the two contrasting styles match up. Purdue had a rough, shaky week. They can eliminate all the noise of them being dropped from number 1 to number 2 if they go into Tuscaloosa and beat a really good Alabama team who just went on the road to the Garden and beat St. John's. Friday night, we've got a beautiful nod to the old school Pac-12. Shout out Bill Walton. Arizona is going to UCLA. Going to be a great game. All those games are going to be campus sites. And that is what we love to see in college basketball. That is Saturday, though. It's the big game. UConn and BYU in the Boston Garden. This game I've been so ready for. If you watched our preseason top games of the year, this was number 1. This was the one we wanted to see. UConn is going to show what type of grit they're made of. What does AJ look like against a UConn team like that? It's going to be in Boston Garden, which means it's basically a home game for UConn, but we know AJ's ties to the area as well. This is a great game, amazing setup. I cannot wait to watch this Saturday night, November 15th. And then Sunday, we're going to get Houston versus Auburn in Birmingham, Alabama. And again, I think this will be Houston's first test of the year. Auburn was another team that looked really shaky week one. They went to overtime with Bethune-Cookman, won by 5. So we're gonna get to see some of these teams in action. Top 25 games this week are gonna be great. Let me know in the comments, should Kansas still be ranked 25th? If they're not, who should take that spot in the 25th spot? NC State, Indiana, or is there another team? Oregon was getting votes to be up there too, and I'm an Oregon alumni, went to Oregon. We looked horrible in that first week. We beat Hawaii by a point and then Rice by 4. So I don't think we have any deserving of the conversation, and we were still receiving points. So I don't know if the media is really watching these games, because there's painting a very different picture on paper versus what we're seeing on the film. But stay tuned, like the video, share it, hit your name, subscribe to enter your name in the portal. Stay with us all week. We'll be covering all the games. Thank you guys. See you on the next one.